Yeah, hello everyone. I hope you're having a good day. Yeah,
Citizens of the web, welcome. Yeah.
yeah. And I think I forgot to mention, like, we are on the 12th episode of the second season actually
Woo,
today. Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. So we've come like after the restart of our series, we've come quite a way, but we hope to continue as we did. But just mentioning that we've come to 12 episodes. That's good.
Yeah, let's see. Let's see
Um,
if we can do 20.
yeah, yeah. So today, as usual, we have a few topics that we want to talk about, bordering technology and some sort of technical dilemmas that we might have to talk about. And Shanti, you have the first topic, so let's go ahead with that one.
Yes. So, being a bit of a camera geek myself, I generally follow what's happening in that sort of sphere of things, and the latest thing in that sphere was the global shutter, right? That was introduced by Sony. So the camera is Alpha 9 Mark III, which is sort of their higher end camera, which costs around $6,000, which is not a small price to pay for a camera. And they did a sort of uh, launch event this week, introducing the camera, and camera is good, but what the focus was on was mostly the sensor, which is a global shutter. So, I mean, what is a global shutter? So, just to give a brief explanation of what a global shutter is, um, y- back in the day, film cameras, you had a film and you had like a sort of a shutter mechanism, right? So what happens is you open the shutter and the light gets exposed to the film and it captures whatever it is, right? So the all of the light, the film captures everything, all of the light, all at once, right? And that's how it worked out. But when we switched to digital, you couldn't really do that, right? You had the sensor, it was like same size sensor as a film, but you had to scan line by line in order to sort of save a lot of things. So you have what's called ISO, which is sort of the sensitivity. You need to do it line by line. So pixel by pixel, not pixel by pixel. So let's say line of pixels. So if you have 1,000 pixels top to bottom, 100 pixels per line, you carry the first 100, second 100, and so on and so forth. You do that really fast, so it seems like you're capturing the whole frame at once, but it was never the case. So what the outcome of that was, when you were capturing things like rotating blades or golf strokes and things like that, you tended to get distortion in those pictures, right? So you might have seen those weird artifacts you see when you point your camera at a spinning propeller or a spinning fan or things like that. It looks weird,
Mm.
right? So that's the reason it's a rolling shutter.
Okay, okay. Like those bulky pieces that,
Exactly,
yeah,
just pop up, right? And it
yeah.
looks weird. It doesn't look like a fan or a golf club or whatever, right? So what Sony have done is they've created technology, a sensor basically that you can capture all of, let's say you have 1,000 pixels, you capture all 1,000 at the same time, right?
Mm.
So, and it just improves a lot of things. Another reason why you couldn't really another sort of, what do you say, a disadvantage of the sort of rolling shutter, not rolling shutter, it's called line by line
Uh,
scanning, whatever, right? Was the fact that the f when using the flash, the highest, there was a limitation on the shutter speed that you could use a flash on, right? So the maximum was something like 1/400th of a second, right? And that's to do with that whole thing. I'm not going to go into that explanation, which is going to take me the whole video to do. But it was an outcome of that. But now that is also fixed, and you can use flashes at any essentially shutter speed as well. So this is pretty big. Um, and potentially big. I'm saying potentially big because what I mentioned before is this wasn't done before because of there were disadvantages,
yeah.
like in terms of how sensitive the sensor could get, how much of dynamic range. So dynamic range being the black and the whitest white, or the brightest and the darkest elements of a shot, how much of light it can capture and sort of show both the light and the dark. That tended to be a bit narrower on global shutter sensors that came before it. And Sony seems to have fixed about 90% of those issues and sorted it out. And the initial reviews seemed good. so I mean, it's not released yet, so this is still in pre-production. It's coming in spring 2024. I think generally this period you get a lot of cameras, mainly because the Olympics is going to be happening next year,
Okay.
and you see sort of camera manufacturers putting out cameras that are focused on, sports and all of that stuff going forward. So A9 III, that's mainly a sports camera, so it's looking at capturing sports. And it could be a game changer, right? Going forward. The global shutter technology, and all the benefits that come with it. So you can go up to a shutter speed of 180,000 per second, right? So this is unheard of in cameras before, because I think the max was something like 1 8,000 or 1 16,000. Those were like bleeding edge high end cameras, right? So the camera I'm recording this on can go up to a maximum of, I think, 1/4,000 of it. 1/4,000. So that's like
Yeah.
50 times more, 5 times more.
Mhm.
My God.
So it's like you can capture like insanely goods, like slow-mo clips, like high frame rate.
Exactly.
Probably, yeah, that's the
Exactly.
idea.
You can just freeze action essentially, right? And you can freeze action plus you can do that because you're capturing all of the light at the same time. You're not gonna wait till it scans,
Yes, yes.
right? And that's gonna provide a lot of
Okay.
things. So the other thing is, right, so other issue that solves is sort of um in sporting arenas and concerts you have these LED lights, right? So LED lights have this sort of flickering thing that happens
Yeah, yeah.
when you're shooting scenes, and that is sort of nullified when you're doing a global shutter thing as well. So you can
Oh, okay.
the things that you can capture is a bit more. So
Yeah. I mean, I didn't know about these things until you told me today, like about the shutter. Because for me, it's like, okay, this is how it's normal, it's some like how the processing is done.
yeah,
Because like you see this when you're recording, like very
exactly,
clearly, these sort of distortions, like you mentioned, and
exactly.
then yeah, and
You don't
then
really think about it, right? You don't really think why
exactly, you
it's
don't.
happening. Yeah,
I think it's
yeah,
also because we kind of grew up with all the technologies coming in and improving. So it's like, okay, this is how it is,
yeah,
We didn't
yeah,
really exactly
exactly,
think, okay,
exactly.
why is this doing this? Because, yeah. And then it's surprising, like from shifting from film to digital, it's probably they had difficulties in terms of having the right technology. That's probably why
Mm.
this is very delayed, I assume. Like, it's the same as okay. Something that I remembered from few years ago is they showed how CPU processing versus GPU processing is. This is
Yes,
what I remember when you told me
yes.
this, like very quickly.
That thing, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, I've
Yeah.
seen that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's the GPU processing is like all at once. They use all the channels,
Yeah.
and then yeah. So it's that image that came up to my head, and
No, that's actually, I mean, yeah, it's similar because one thing, it pushes, I think, 6 GB of data per second, that
mhm.
sensor, apparently. So I'm not exactly sure on that number. So there's a lot of processing going on. So one thing you need to have a processor that can process all of that
Yeah.
in an instant, because the other thing is, the camera has the capability to shoot 120 frames per second photos, not video. I'm talking about photos. So if you
Okay.
if you keep pressing the shutter, it will take
Okay.
120 photos,
In a
120
second.
photos in a second, right?
Oh goodness.
Right. So you need to
Goodness.
push all of that into a
Yeah.
processor, get it processed, and it needs to sort of do the tracking as well. So
Yeah.
if you're tracking a subject, you need to do that,
Yeah.
keep them in focus. So
Yeah.
doing all of that is so much work, right? So
Yeah. Yeah.
it's not easy to do all of that.
I mean,
So
essentially, it is that right. Like when you think of a digital camera that
mhm.
can record 30 FPS, let's say roughly 30, it should
Yeah.
be able to
Yeah.
capture 30 frames or 30
Exactly.
photos in a second. But like,
Yeah. So
uh,
the thing is, when you say, so let's say 4K, right? So 4K
mm,
resolution is uh is how much? How many pixels is that?
2000 something.
So it's just 8.3 megapixels, right? I think. Oh,
Mm,
is it yeah, 83 megapixels or
mm,
8.3 megapixels? I'm not sure. So something around that much.
mm.
Uh, or am I? Is that wrong? I'm not sure. So, but well, the 4K.
Yeah, how many megapixels is 4K? It says.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like it's like 8. I think it's 8. It says 8 million.
Okay.
I think.
Yeah, it's 8 million, right? So 8 million is so that's 8 million. So the photo, the resolution of the sensor in the new camera is 24 megapixels,
Mm,
right?
okay.
So it's taking, so if you want to process a 4K 120 image, it says 8 megapixels, right? You need to capture 8, whatever.
Mm,
But this captures 120 megapixels, sorry, 26 megapixels, 24 megapixels,
mm,
I think, yeah, something around that,
mm.
images at 120 frames per second, right? So
Yeah.
that's like a lot. Provided you can't do it for a large amount of
Yeah.
time,
Yeah.
because there are probably limitations. It's
Yeah.
probably, I
Yeah.
think,
Probably.
few seconds you can do it for. But generally, you still can take, I think it's like around 20 to 30 frames per second,
Yeah. Yeah.
still images for a much
Mm,
long period of time.
yeah.
So
So
that's like
like you said, sporting events, high speed events, very easy to
exactly,
get. Like
exactly.
no blur at all, I assume.
Exactly, exactly. And this has what's called pre-capture, right?
Mm,
So is I mean,
okay.
that was sort of there in other cameras. It's not like an innovation, right? So essentially what it does is it when you half press the shutter, it starts recording, right? So you have 1 second back and 1 second forward
Okay.
from the point you press the shutter, so that
Yeah.
if you miss the action, you can just scroll it back and
Take back.
capture.
Yeah. And this
Yeah.
is what the phones are doing right now as well, right? Like
Yeah, phones have
if
it
we
as well.
think
Yeah.
of new, I don't know whether it's there in all the Androids, but like the Pixel and then iPhone, both of them has like
Mm,
this motion capture. Like when you take photos, you can kind of scroll and pick
mm.
the best shot. It takes more shots than one most of the time.
Yeah, so that is slightly different, I think. So
Mm?
what you're talking about is sort of a processor where it takes multiple images, sort of mashes them together, and oh yeah, but no, there are applications where you can take multiple images and you can just pick the one that you want,
Yeah,
right? Yeah,
and it's
yeah.
not just like usually if the artifact or like the what you're photographing is moving around or like moving a bit, like it's not something that you can pick manually on the phone usually.
Mm-hmm,
So but once you take a phone and once it processes it, when you
mm-hmm,
go and look at in the Photos app, you can see that it usually shows it like a GIF. The photo shows like a GIF in the beginning, and then it lands on stops on the perfect frame that it thinks is the best photo.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
And then if you just scroll up the photo, you can see there's like 20 photos which you can scroll through and pick another image if you want to be the final product. And you can have the bunch of them together and you can
Mm-hmm.
export one of them if you want to.
So yeah,
Okay, yeah.
that's about global shutter, I guess.
Mm.
Um,
Then we will move on to the next topic. Maybe we can go with the Apple topic again and there.
yeah, maybe.
Sideloading, yeah. Yeah. So there's been some news that Apple is going to allow side loading on iPhones. Not exactly side loading, but they
You mean
are
like other app stores?
exactly other app stores. Yeah, so
Okay,
they're going to allow
okay.
other app stores on the iPhone.
Perfect.
Yeah, so this is the news, but it seems people are saying that this might only be rolled out to the EU, not to everyone else.
Yay! But
Luckily.
but but why just is it to do with regulation? I think
Yeah, yeah,
it's to do
yeah.
with regulation,
So,
right? Yeah.
so this is Apple has been under pressure in the European Union as the Digital Markets Act antitrust legislation requires the company to allow users to sideload apps outside the App Store to increase competition.
Mm,
So they've
mm,
been pushed
mm,
in the EU to do that, and I yes, people are telling that they probably would only do this in the EU. Like it's a software feature, so they
mm,
don't have to allow it on countries outside of it.
mm.
But it gets tricky if there are EU citizens in other countries working. So they might still have to give it the
Oh
okay
yeah,
globally.
true. That's true.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Because it's
yeah,
the same case with how GDPR rolled out. GDPR was
yeah,
a EU thing, but the
yeah.
whole world had to
Everyone,
comply.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, all the websites, the cookies, and everything, they had to comply like globally. And yeah, so I think it's probably going to affect, like, happen in a global scale, but they can be petty and have some, like, geographical restrictions. I don't know, you have to be in this region physically to be protected by,
I
but
mean,
I don't think so.
they do that with some apps though, right? They do that with like certain apps you can't really download when you're in different locations. So I'm guessing they'll probably.
But that's only when you have yeah, it depends on the location of your Apple account, right? That's how it is, like your
Oh,
main account. Yeah,
yeah,
so
yeah,
if
yeah, 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 yeah. I would say it's not
the
necessarily where you are. It's where
no,
you have your account registered.
yeah, yeah.
Right. Okay.
So then I guess they can restrict it quite a bit, like based on
Mm.
the country. So if you registered your account in a European country, then you probably have the ability to install external app stores and then get things through
Oh,
there.
interesting. Interesting.
Makes things quite good. But like what people are questioning is how Apple will move around their narrative about security. When it comes
The
to
That's,
having
I mean,
apps.
yeah, there is I think there's a valid case for it. I feel like, Apple has a valid argument there, because there are apps that you can, really get into trouble with when downloading. I feel like Android has few more of those than Apple.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are stuff in Apple as well. Because some just apps just get through the sort of security net that Google has, and it
Mm,
gets downloaded like not a million times, probably about 1,000 times,
mm,
and it gets it's sort of like a virus or something goes
mm.
in, and or not necessarily a virus, probably could be like a spyware thing as well, right?
Yeah.
Um, there have been instances like that in the
Yeah.
past.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, if you're installing an app outside of the usual app store, I mean,
mm,
even actually, Apple is more controlled in the App
hmm
Store, but
hmm
in Android, in the Google Play Store, there's been cases that they've had apps on the Play Store which are spyware, which are
exactly.
which had issues. And if you're installing something from which is not on the Play Store, that means you have to take up the risk of that
Mm,
it can have something, or either if it's an app you develop, then maybe it's something easier for you. But there
hmm
are risks, of course, like installing apps outside. But then it gives a lot of freedom for people to kind of test around your phone. But I think on Android and also iPhone, as long as you don't, how to say, you can say on Android, it's if you the phone is rooted, if you get root
mm,
access,
mm,
or if the iPhone is jailbroken. If that's not the case, then you are a bit more secure anyway. Like if
mm,
they
mm,
have their normal security in place, but if it's rooted or jailbroken, then you kind of give up on the sort of inbuilt control security,
mm.
because I think for rooted Androids, you can't even install quite a lot of apps, like things like bank apps. You
Mm.
can't actually use and install on rooted phones. They don't let you do it anymore.
Oh,
So it has to be, yeah. It's just they have a security layer, because the bank apps can be read and accessed through a third party if it's a rooted phone. So they don't want to have that chance. But I don't know how they will roll out. It's iOS 17.2. What's the current version of iOS right
uh,
now? Changed
17.1, I guess.
20.1. So just the
Both.
next one.
Yeah. So it's yeah, these the legislation, it says it should be applied by 2024 March. So I'm guessing it's
Okay.
probably the next version.
Yeah. And in the article, like it has, this is 9to5mac.com. In the article, there's a photo of Craig Federighi, like having a slide saying side loading is a cyber criminal's best friend. That's the, yeah. Um,
Well,
yeah.
let's see how it goes.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see how it goes.
Yeah, like, yeah, I'm just going through the comments right now. Like people are saying there'll be like a region lock, like that's what
Hmm
we mentioned right now. Yeah. So yeah, let's see how this goes. It can be opening up. I mean, they can do it if they want. They have the flexibility on their MacBooks to install
mm
anything which is not just on a Play Store. You can download and
mm
install things from different
mm
it's the same level of security that you are kind of having on a phone, like
Mm,
which you are using. So if they're arguing that the phone is more secure and their MacBook is not secure, I don't think they're saying like that. They don't say their MacBook is not secure. They just don't go there in that discussion. They never mention anything. Yeah.
let's see what they
Yeah.
say.
Yeah. Let's move on then. And you had another topic, which was.
Yes. I mean, it's kind of to do with app stores. Well, not exactly. It's rather the lack of app stores in this particular product that I want to talk about. So there's this new phone replacement. That's what they're
Mm,
calling it, at least. That's not. I mean, it's not released yet. So it. Or is it released yet? But they're taking
mm,
orders for it at least,
yeah,
right?
pre-orders.
Pre-orders. So it's this pin sort of thing that you have. You wear it on your pocket. I don't know that you can put a picture up. Um, for the benefit of our
Mm,
viewers on YouTube or
mm,
and TikTok, Reels, wherever. Um so what it does is it's essentially like a AI that you can talk to that's in your pocket,
mm,
and you can use it as a phone. So apparently, what happens is you do get a mobile number with it that's tied to that, and that's what you use to sort of make calls and receive messages and all of that.
mm,
And all of that is without a screen. There is no screen, but there is sort of like a laser projector that if you hold up your hand, like in front of it,
mm,
it just projects something to it and just gives you like basic information. And it's not like color display or anything like. It's just a laser projector with just text and all of that stuff. Um, that's mainly it. In the demo, it does some. They show some like cool applications, but I'm not 100% sure whether they are really practical to pull off. So the translation thing is, I think, is probably there. So that
mm,
this guy comes up and asks something in Spanish. I think I'm not sure.
mm.
Yeah, and he replies in English, and the AI pin
Translates.
translates it into Spanish and just speaks it out, right? So
Mm,
it's kind of cool.
mm,
That can be one application for it,
yeah.
and taking calls, all of that. And it has a camera on it as well. So if you ask it to record, it will record, let's say, a picture or a
Mm,
video or whatever as well.
mm,
So you just tell it and it does it.
mm.
Um, I'm on the skeptical side when it comes to this, right?
Why?
Because okay, so in one of the workflows, right? So this was discussed at the Verge as well. Uh, he points a book, right? He looks at a book and he says, "Okay, how much is this book?" Right? And it says a number, right? Some $40 or whatever. And this guy's like, "Order it,
Mm,
buy it for me." Right? That's it.
mm,
That phrase "buy it for me," right, is not a very simple thing to do in sort of online purchases, because one thing, you
yeah.
need an address, right?
Mm,
You need an account. You need a credit card.
yeah.
Right? At least those three,
I
right?
guess this is assuming that the AI already has that information stored,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, yeah, okay, yeah, that is true. Yeah, but still, dude, like, I mean, how would you know what? So let's say you have a billing address is separate and a home address that's separate, right? So if you have something like that, how does it take care of that? I mean, I know it's a stupid question. It might sound like a stupid question, but like that's a valid reason, right? So you might have your billing address in another country, and you might want to
Yeah, yeah.
get your
Mm,
goods sent to one address, right?
mm,
Because it's not as straightforward, right? So
mm,
okay, that's just one example. And the other thing is its ability to sort of understand what you're saying. I feel like there might be some hits or misses.
yeah, yeah.
um and it won't be as smooth, I would say, as it shows it to be.
Mm,
I I,
mm,
I
mm.
I doubt it
Of
might be.
course, I mean this is a product demo. Nothing like 70% of it is
Exactly. So
simulated.
the thing is, they did it in like a sort of closed environment, right? There was no one in the background,
Mm,
but they showed a video of the guy using it in like a crowded environment. And I'm not sure how good it will be at picking up just his voice, because there are people talking around
Yeah,
you, and there are
yeah.
noises, background noises, and all of that stuff. So it's not really straightforward to do that, right?
I
And
mean,
it's not even near your mouth to begin. It's in your pocket, right? It's not going
yeah.
to be like, it might not be optimally
Like
accessible.
again, like all of these technologies that they talk about exist. All right.
Mm,
There are directional mics. There are mics
mhm,
that you like. If you work in a studio, your mic is usually here. Like that's the location that the mic is, and it
mm,
picks up. And the question that you talked about, the details about when ordering stuff and everything, uh, that also, like I mentioned before, maybe he can configure it on a laptop, saying this is my credit card number information, and this my billing address, this is my delivery address, and then you can have all these things ready. And when we are ordering, set what's the input field, and then you enter the right, it's AI. It's probably possible if it can read what's the thing
uh-huh,
is about. And then also, like right now, there's a lot of noise cancellation technologies that sort of cut out background noise when someone's speaking.
mhm,
Like I think like the AirPods have probably one of the best noise suppression. Like when you're
mm,
speaking, you can put it to
mm,
voice mode and it kind of cancels out this, whatever.
mm,
Again, there's a lot of technology separately available to do these things. The
mm.
question is, how can they actually fit it or fit all that in
Yeah,
this small
true,
package? There is the
true.
question,
Mm,
because it's very small and it's demanding a lot of processing capability to do
mhm,
these small things.
mhm,
uh, and then also it demands in-device processing. You can't send it to the cloud. This is very private personal data.
mm, mm,
You have to do
mm,
in-device processing. So how should they figure all these things out is the question. Like a phone it's a phone is a pretty big thing. It has all the processors, and maybe it is the same case here. It can be done. The small processor, the battery, and the camera. I don't know. Like I think this is like the Google glasses, kind of when it tried to launch in the
mm.
beginning. Maybe this might be a AI personal assistant can be a thing.
No, no. So
Some.
they are pitching this as a phone replacement.
Okay.
There's no attached device. This is like on its own.
Okay.
It's gonna replace your phone. So that's the thing, right?
Uh,
Um,
no, I don't. Yeah,
yeah.
it's gonna be.
And so like they were in the demo, right? So not so they had like, when I said demo, during the demo they had like stuff they did live in that
Mm,
controlled environment. Plus they showed like a video of this being used in the real world, right?
mm,
Um, So one was that, there's this like person, and I think it was she was like, um can you tell us good restaurants in this area?
mm,
And that's
mm.
all. Then that's all she says, and it's supposed to give an answer, right? The
I
thing
mean,
is,
it can.
you can, right? But the thing is, so okay, maybe okay. Okay, one thing, it sources from some list somewhere, right? It
Yeah,
has to
yeah,
it has to be content on the internet, right?
yeah, yeah.
And it has to be something that you like as well,
Yeah.
right? I mean, that's what we do. So currently what we do is we go into the Google Maps app, search for
Mm,
restaurants, and we do like, okay, these are the restaurants. We do a filtration, right? We try
yeah.
to say, okay, that's I like Chinese food or whatever,
Mm,
right? And
mm,
then you filter and you look at the ratings and do all of that, right?
mm.
And I think the thing that I don't really like is them claiming that the AI does all of that for you. If I mean, if it does, that's great, that's awesome,
Mm,
but it's
mm.
really hard to get the AI to do it. It's not
I
as
to
straightforward, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
to be
it
honest, like
has.
I don't think it's that difficult as well. I don't think. Okay, your phone right now.
Okay.
Let's assume like let's assume that this is the phone, right? Your
Okay.
phone right now collects a lot of information.
Okay.
When you go into a shop, it knows that you're in that kind of a shop. Like it has location information, it
Okay.
has Wi-Fi connections. They know what kind of a network you're
Okay.
in, what
Okay.
location is. So the
Yeah.
more frequently you are in these locations, it
True.
can build a
True.
profile on
True.
what's
True.
your kind of food, And
Exactly.
ChatGPT already does these things. When you ask, like, okay, give me the best restaurants in this city,
Okay.
it can give you this based on what it's scrapped off of the other websites and the
Yeah.
kind of reviews Google. Again, my understanding, it's the same concept. It has your personal information. It has information that it got through
Okay.
ChatGPT or similar AI,
Mm-hmm.
and it gives you recommendations based on that. This is what I'm assuming.
Okay, but
Oh,
these guys say that
what's the question here? Yeah.
all of the processing happens in the device, and none of your personal information is used. There was a section about that as well, I think, if I remember correctly. So then my assumption is this won't work out of the box as shown.
No.
It'll need a training period, I would say.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
definitely.
probably what I'm imagining, right? And
Yes.
it'll go through that training period, so it could be like a month, it could be like a week, I don't
Yeah,
know,
even more. Even
X
more
amount,
it
it could
can
be
be.
even more, right? So because you can't really do all of that in a week or a month.
Yeah.
So I think it might improve,
Yeah.
and uh, it might, I don't know,
But it
but
wouldn't replace a phone. No.
not right now at least.
Not right now. Like
Yeah.
it's the same kind of device that I would compare with a smartwatch.
Okay.
Uh,
Okay.
a
Okay.
smartwatch is an additional device that you have that gives you a certain level of extra capabilities.
Hmm.
Because I think people are more used to having the phone, checking messages, checking videos on your phone. So there are certain things that you can't do on this device. It is basically a communication device plus a personal assistant, but
Hmm.
that's where it stops, at least here, like this device. So what you do on your phone, you can't do 70% of it in this device.
Hmm. Hmm.
So that's why I'm
Yeah. So
saying it. Mhm.
yeah, one other thing that they want to say is that they are trying to move away from screens and just
Okay.
be
Mhm.
in the moment sort of thing. I mean,
Okay.
that's probably good in a way,
Yeah.
but maybe I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, tell me what's
I'm
going on
still
in.
skeptical on this until I see like a physical
Yeah.
product and
No,
people using it. I'm still skeptical.
I don't think it's gonna be used by most people. At least
Mm,
in the
mm,
beginning, for
yeah.
sure, it's not gonna be used by most people. It's going to be, like I said, it's going to be something like a VR headset. Only a few people who are really interested and
Mm,
who wants to use it will go for it. And
yeah.
it's gonna be like, I have this thing. I'm just checking
Yeah.
it. It's like a tech enthusiast product. I would say
Yeah.
at this moment, and people
It's
who
not
have enough money to
it's
just
not
throw
cheap
around
as
and buy.
well, right?
Yeah,
It's
how
not
much
cheap
is
as
it?
well. It's $700. So it's like a phone, price of a phone.
Yeah, even more
So
expensive than a phone that can probably do much more than that.
yeah, probably.
Yeah. Like you can get like a good average Android phone for like $200 if you want to.
Yeah,
200,
easily.
$300 easily. And this probably can't do, like I said, 70% of what that phone does. So it's not gonna be that group of people moving on. It's people who have a good phone, who has, how do you say, disposable income to just get this and kind of
Just have
test
a
it
look,
out.
just test it out, all of that.
Yeah.
True.
Well, yeah, but I'm interested to see how this goes. I'm not a big fan of pre-ordering things like this.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, it's a
usually,
gimmick, right? They just tell us a lot of stuff, and
mm,
half of them are promises, like 70% of them are promises, and don't really get into the product in the end.
mm,
And let's see. Let's see.
yeah.
Let's see what happens.
Okay. Then there's a similar topic in terms of AI that we received. It's an article saying GPT-4 telling GPT-4 that you're scared or under pressure
The-
improves performance.
Wow, okay.
Uh, I don't know
Interesting.
how. Yeah, so it's like large language models understand and can be enhanced by emotional stimuli.
That's a bit freaky.
Yeah. This is where we come from watching similar TV series as well.
Yes. They'll slowly discover that they can understand feelings, the AI, and they'll be like, oh,
Yeah,
wow, okay.
yeah. I mean, if you feel I'm stressed or like, yeah, I don't know. But this is just a testing that they're doing, but there's not much information about it. It's a very, but it's an article on Cornell University. So probably they're doing research based on that.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
interesting, right? It could be yeah, that is quite interesting. I'm not sure
Mm.
how it's doing that, but yeah, I'm no AI expert, right? Anyway,
Yeah.
both of us
Yeah.
are not. But
No, no, we are not. But yeah, this is just a connected.
be nice to your AI. So that's
Yeah, be
probably the
nice to AI.
message
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can take from that.
Yeah, because in the future there'll be more. Oh yeah. Did you see the? I'm surprised I couldn't find a news article on that. Like the company who does OpenAI.
Hmm.
OpenAI, they announced that they are having this for the premium users. They have something called GPTs.
Oh
Did you
yeah,
see that?
yeah. I saw that. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Oh yeah. I just remember I was gonna send that article to you. And yeah, I forgot to send it for some reason. So you want to explain what GPTs are, Ninank?
GPTs, you can start. I can't exactly remember. I'm just trying to
So
get an
I
article
think
now.
GPTs essentially is you can it's like an app that you create
Mm,
using ChatGPT but on a focus topic.
mm,
Right? So you feed it, let's say, so one guy had done something to do with Power Automate. That's how I saw it for
mm,
some reason.
mm,
So
mm,
Power Automate is like a Microsoft tool
mm,
that people use to create workflows. So just take documentation for that, run it in ChatGPT, and you create like an app specific for that particular topic,
mm,
and you can ask it anything on that, and it'll
mm,
um, sort of
mm,
be I mean you can so essentially what's happening is it's going to have an app store of its own, a GPT app store where you can
mm,
download some of these,
mm.
and they're going to have like a revenue sharing model for
Yeah,
those, so that the most popular apps would people who have the most popular apps would get a certain cut of it
yeah,
as well.
yeah.
So yeah,
That's
that's
gonna be interesting, and it's good, I guess. Like they are expanding their sort of base. They are giving sort of licenses to people to kind of branch off and do new things, and I think that's the best way to go.
yeah,
It's kind of like you're building, and it's smart for them. They are getting revenue anyway. It's just they have the platform already.
yeah,
Just take the base and then build on it. Yeah.
exactly. And
I
that's quite interesting because you can it's something that you can sell to companies pretty easily as well, because
mm,
um companies have this problem that in the far part the few companies that I've been in, they have a problem of sharing knowledge, right?
mm,
Because knowledge is something that's in someone's head,
mm,
general tends to be, right? And it's not really searchable. You need to go and talk to that person.
mm,
But starting by like codifying that knowledge into like text or PDFs or whatever, right? You can put that as a starting point
mm,
and use those documents or whatever to train a GPT, and you
mm.
have, let's say, a like a Google GPT, and you can
Yeah,
anyone who
yeah.
joins Google and needs to know something about Google can just type in that question and it gives you
Mm,
that answer right about Google.
yeah.
So it could be like how many regions we're in,
Mm,
simple things like that, to a bit more complex things like if you want to do a particular task, right? If you want to say something like, okay, I need to get access to this new software. How do I do it? And when you present, it'll look through the documentation and say,
mm,
okay, you need to go into this website, uh, fill up this ticket, and all of that.
mm.
And then they'll tell you need to do this, and you have the steps, and you don't need to
Mm.
worry about anything. You
Yeah,
don't need an HR department
yeah.
for certain things. Bye bye, Ninaka.
No, no, we're still good.
I'm
I mean,
kidding. I'm kidding.
if you need people to hire,
I'm just kidding. But I mean, yeah, but generally, you don't need like essentially certain levels of support you can
yeah,
take
yeah,
away,
yeah.
right?
You can definitely, yes, yes, yes.
Um, but yeah, I mean, that opens up
So it's like
it's
essentially
good, right?
you build certain applications to, okay, it's like to find. I'm just thinking like from just some example that popped up in my mind was like posting on a marketing platform. You
Mm,
schedule post and stuff on a platform, and you can have a GPT to analyze and identify what are the best time slots to be posted, and then it automatically kind of does everything for you, and then you don't need to actually worry about anything. Yeah. I
Uh,
mean,
that might be pushing, but no, yeah, it probably should be the case. So if you
yeah.
load in like, yeah,
Data. If you're loading
yeah,
data, like,
exactly,
okay, you load in data on best performing posts, and you
yeah,
continuously input the data the previous week, the previous day. What are the
yeah,
posts performing best? When are they performing the best? And that changes over time, like the
yeah, yeah,
best
yeah,
performing times. And then it's just
yeah.
inputting data continuously. You have some reference point, and then you recommend, okay, these are the best time slots for next week based on the past 2, 3 weeks, or I
Uh,
don't know, whatever data
the
that they have. And then you kind of automatically schedule your post there.
the
And when they start
only
not performing,
the only thing the only issue that I have is these are like LLMs, right? So large language models. Um, it those I mean I've seen a few examples of videos shared by people. I- it's not very good with calculations, I would say, and sort of doing analysis on numbers for some weird reasons. So you generally think that computers inherently should be good at numbers, right?
yeah, yeah.
But when it comes to LLMs,
Mm.
they are more text based, right? So they look at text
Yeah.
and try to get an output from that
Oh,
text
okay, 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 okay.
and
Yeah,
do that
yeah.
sort of thing, right?
Okay, so like if you ask the question, what's the best time to post, like on social media, it'll look into other articles and then give you an answer saying, well, this is what those articles
Something
mentioned.
like that, exactly.
Yeah.
So I think it might be able to formulate its own. I'm not 100% sure about that because I mean there were examples of some guy asking like a very simple riddle on GPT, and
Mm,
it's a mathematical riddle, right? So you can
mm,
just you do it in your head. It's pretty simple, but
mm.
GPT fails. It doesn't do it
Yeah,
properly,
okay. Mm,
right? They would have improved it, and this was a few weeks back. I saw this.
yeah.
They could have improved it. I don't know. It
Mm,
may not be the case anymore, but uh, I feel like still that aspect of it, looking at numbers
mm,
and coming up with a
yeah.
solution, may not be the best thing that GPT
Yeah.
be
Mm,
used for.
mm. But they can be
Because
used
of the skill
for
set.
researching, or like can they be used to understand what are the best times so far? No, that also not. It's because it's
Uh,
just reading off, like you
it
said.
depends on the data that you feed it, I think. So I think what they want to use it for is to sort of look at, like, it's many documentation, right?
Mm.
That's where I came from. So
Knowledge. Yeah.
knowledge, exactly. So you have knowledge that's written down. That's knowledge
Mm.
that's already been processed and sort of written down in a written format. It's you can refer to that and
Mm.
get that knowledge out
Mm. Mm. Mm.
the way you want. So you just ask it a question, it knows it, looks at it, gives you the answer,
Mm. So
right?
they probably can do something bigger if they combine it with a calculation or AI or
Exactly,
whatever.
exactly, exactly, right? So that I think is a bit more complex
Mm.
from my limited knowledge in AI.
Mm. 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 Mm.
So
Yeah. But I
maybe
mean,
there is a
it's a
path.
first step anywhere, and we don't know where the AI is gonna go. Like, so, I mean, it's good to keep an open mind generally, at least at the
Yeah,
moment.
yeah.
And we have a lot of stories, dystopian stories,
Hmm,
fictional stories about how AI can kind of threat or take over the world. But still, I think this is still imagination of people that we're talking
hmm,
about. So we have to
hmm.
just keep an open mind on how the technology develops and it's being controlled. Yeah. AI is always an interesting topic these days, and it's taking up time for us to kind of go through. It's good though that it's in common people's mind. That means it's knowledge available, I would say, rather than like secret AI projects. This is quite out there. Maybe there are secret projects we don't know.
Hmm.
Uh, but yeah. Uh, but I think, I guess we can actually end with that note. We talked quite a bit today, maybe a bit more than usual. I'm not sure,
Yeah, maybe.
but maybe. But yeah, then we'll close it for today, and hopefully come with some interesting topics for the week after as well. But then, thank you very much for listening to us, and hope you guys have an amazing week ahead.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a good one.